Hey, welcome to this week's Rookie's Guide to I Am the Law, Judge Dredd by Warlord Games 2000 AD. So this week we are diving back into the game. We are looking at close combat. We are covering pages 24 to 27. This will probably be the last chunk of this, then we'll get into the beginner games because we'll probably have enough rules under our belts to do this. So close combat. Models that are within 1 inch of each other are within close combat range. This represents blades, blunt objects, fists, teeth. There is a -1 penalty to shoot at close combat range. So if you're within 1 inch, there's really no point in shooting unless you're seriously bad at close combat. And you cannot aim fire when you are in this range. Make sense? Overall, most of the time, it is the better option to fight, grapple, batter the offending party. So the fight action, you declare either a fight action or a charge action, which can bring the active model within close combat range of the enemy model. You roll to hit the enemy. It's pretty much the same as shooting. You roll a number of combat dice equal to your fight value. If the target is already pinned, you get +1 dice. You are attacking the model from behind, +1. You can't start your turn in front of a model and then run behind it. Successive rains of kicks or blows can suppress an enemy just as much as a hail of shots. If you roll number of hits equal or greater than the defender's call, they suffer a pin result, exactly like shooting. If you've hit, the defender can attempt to dodge. You roll number of combat dice equal to the evade. If any special results are rolled, the defender has dodged. Once again, exactly like the shooting phase, this is very, very simple. If you successfully dodge, you get to move 3 inches. This should be used to move you out of close combat unless you think you can batter your opponent in return. If you fail to dodge, you then roll your resistance. Right, resisting hits. If the hit is not dodged, add the attacker's close combat weapon modifier to the attacker's fight to determine the power for resolving the hit. If the model has no melee weapon, it just uses its fight stat. Then you apply the following modifiers. So obviously fight plus any weapon modifiers. And then if the attacker used a charge double action, it gets +1. The attacker rolls a number of combat dice equal to the power stat. Any hits equals 1 power, and the other 2 results are useless in this effect unless there's some special rules. Total up the number of hits. The target model then rolls a number of combat dice equal to its resist stat. This can be modified by, very simply, it gets -1 if you're being attacked from behind. For each armor rolled, you resist the hit. Count up how many are left and see what happens. If it's -1 or less, there's no effect. 0, you get a stun result. 1, target is injured. 2, target is seriously injured. 3, grievously injured. Exactly like shooting when that all comes into play, so we won't go over that again. You can go back to the shooting video. Subdued in combat. A close combat attack made without any certain weapon, so this includes just your fists, feet, or head, is considered to have a stun special rule. E.g., the attacker has the option to inflict at least 1 stunned result and count all injuries as stunned. However, close combat weapons without the stun special rule may not be used for subduing in this reason. Multiple opponents. Multiple attackers ganging up on one single opponent will happen quite a lot. They ultimately do get in each other's way though, so there's no bonuses for being outnumbered. The one exception is that models that operate in packs, such as Juves, score hits on both hit and special results if at least one other member of the pack is also within close combat range. Close combat attacker with multiple enemy models in range can elect to split its fight stat in order to attack more than one model. At least 1 point of fight must be assigned to each model, but ultimately they won't get any bonuses. So for example, 3 punks are attacking my judge, they're not going to get bonuses. If it was 3 Juves that form a pack, they would get bonuses, but it's nothing to be scared of because they're not very strong, so it probably won't hurt you. But they're more likely to hit, but less likely to actually damage your character. But the bonus of doing that is that when the judge swings back, he has to divide up his points. So if the judge only has 3 fight and he's fighting against 3 people, he's got to put 1 on each, which lowers the chance of him hitting. That is pretty important. Escaping close combat. A model within close combat range of the enemy is allowed to move away using move, sprint, or charge. Compare the active model's move to the models that are in close combat. Any enemies with a higher move stat than the active model can make an immediate close combat attack against the fleeing model. You can run away, it's just dangerous for you. We also have the 2 weapon fighting rule. A model can attack with a close combat in each hand, providing that both weapons are one-handed. When a model uses 2 close combat weapons in this way, it will score hits on the target with hit and special. So it's similar to a pack. Results of these aren't as strong as a normal fight, so your opponent will gain a +1 resist dice. This represents you not getting as big of a swing going because you're concentrating on trying to use 2. Having a pistol in one hand and a close combat weapon in another also counts for this rule. Power for close combat hits uses either the model's fight stat plus modifiers and special rules for one of its close combat weapons, or you can use the pistol's power and special rule. If the attacker is splitting their fight in order to attack multiple opponents, only one opponent can be attacked with the pistol. So a judge has a daystick and a pistol, the lawgiver. When fighting in close combat, you could elect just to use the daystick. If you do that, normal fighting, only hit on hits, but you end up having a +1 modifier and you can use the stun special rule if you're just doing daystick. You could use the lawgiver. The lawgiver would be power 4, armor piercing, special rounds, and a stun pulse. So you have options, or you could use both. If you're going to use both, you can hit on hits and 2000 AD symbols, but your opponent gains +1 resist. Final rule to go over is the Brawler skill. This is very similar to Gunfighter, but it's the close combat version. When you roll to dodge, if you roll a 2000 AD, you get to fight back. And once again, similar to gun time in the shooting phase, if your opponent also has Brawler and rolls a 2000 AD, you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, beating up each other. That is it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Hope I brought you something. But drop me a comment, drop me a like, all that good stuff. And we'll have a battle report next week. And then as we progress through the battle report, we'll start learning about vehicles and terrain. So I hope you've enjoyed. And I'll catch you next week. Cheers for watching.